Hello, and welcome back to Plain Brown Wrapper Ministry. I'm Cindy, and I'm going to tell you a story today. It's a special day today because my baby turns 43. Yeah. So when my mom was killed, I wrote this one out because I might get emotional. When my mom was killed in the car crash, I knew the chances of keeping my baby were diminishing fast. Because remember, in earlier testimonies, I told you that when my mom was killed, I was 7 months pregnant. Um, and yeah, very young, too young to be thinking I needed to have a baby. Anyway, that's just what happened. So, the shame and disgrace I brought to the family was vocalized, and no one was in a hurry to take me in for fear of being responsible for my baby, too. I actually heard the words, "We'll take you in and that baby, too, if we have to." Did you feel the love in that statement? Anyway, I didn't know what was going to happen to me, but I was wise enough to know that my baby would never be accepted by my family, and it wasn't fair to him that he should be punished for my immaturity and bad judgment. So, giving my baby up for adoption was the only outcome that would provide the love and support that he deserved and that I couldn't provide. Um, it was not an easy decision, and there were plenty of tears involved over a long period of time. Like I remember I sat down and I wrote all the pros and cons of all the different scenarios and yeah. So there I was in the delivery room by myself with a doctor and a nurse. Um, the lady who would later become my legal guardian was at the hospital, but she wasn't allowed in the delivery room because she wasn't my guardian at the time. So I was alone, and I wasn't in a hurry to deliver because I knew what would come next, the most difficult decision I would ever have to make. It wasn't an easy delivery. It was a boy, by the way. It's a boy. Um, it wasn't an easy delivery. There were complications, and I had to stay in the hospital for nearly a week. So yeah, I was in a room with three other ladies, who'd have their babies wheeled in, and they had family and friends come to ooh and awe over their bundle of joy. My bundle of joy was kept in the nursery because I was told by the social worker that I couldn't hold him because I might change my mind and there was someone waiting to adopt my son. That's what they told me. Things are different now. But I have two regrets in my life, and this is one of them, that I never held him to say goodbye. I said goodbye through the window of the nursery. Um, but yeah, I can't change that. So so that social worker, like, she would not give up. She came into my room at least twice a day and nagged me about signing the papers because people were waiting. Like, hurry up and make a decision. Sign these papers. People are waiting. We need to have a decision now. And I'm just like, I didn't want to. Like, you gotta think about the time in my life. Like, there were many life-changing events happened in a very sh- short period of time. And, I was trying to hold it together as best I could. So anyway, it finally dawned on her that perhaps after being recently orphaned, experiencing a complicated birth, and facing the surrender of my child, that I was under considerable amounts of trauma, and I was not in a hurry for this next step. I had a lot of stuff to deal with in that short period of time. So yeah, and I had no one to talk to about it. That was yeah, because I didn't know the Lord at the time. Like, he wasn't. I knew of God, but I was told or shamed into thinking that I was so bad that even God couldn't love me, right? But I knew there was a God. So, So after my son was born, I called my grandmother to let her know that my baby was born. And she just said, do what you have to do, and we will never have to talk about it again. And we didn't feel the love. The one time I was overwhelmed with pain and emotion and I wanted to talk, I was quickly dismissed and reminded that we didn't need to talk about it. Yeah, feel the love. You know, when someone's crying and distressed, you don't just say, oh, well, let's just talk about something else. I'm so glad that you, yeah, he's like the only one who will love me. Anyway, that's a different story. So, with all my mother love, because there's nothing like the love of a mother. Well, there shouldn't be anyway. My mom was a different story, but she had her own baggage. Anyway, I signed the surrender documents and asked God to give him a home where he would be loved and have everything he needed. I knew I was not worthy of God's love, but my baby was innocent and didn't deserve my fate. I hoped God would look after him. I asked God to look after him, hoping that he would. So, pain that can't be described with words, guilt, shame, defeat. These were my companions as I stepped into my future, childless. And every year on his birthday, I would wish a blessing in hopes it would find him. Um, I have I have a special piece of cake and wish him happy birthday every day, every year on this day. Because even though I can't be like I couldn't make him his birthday cakes and stuff like that, I loved him. I love him. And and yeah, I wanted to. It's alive in me. So anyway, but after I gave my life to Jesus, the guilt and shame was replaced with the knowledge that through my sacrifice, I brought joy to a childless couple. And you know, that made me feel good. Because, yeah, people who wanted to make me feel bad, and then I made a mistake and did all these horrible things, through that, God used that to bring joy to a childless couple. So I found comfort in that. So, and once I had Jesus in my life, I prayed for him more often and with more intent. I prayed that he would understand that I gave him up because I couldn't look after him, not because I didn't want him. I never wanted him to think that I didn't want him. Emotional. It's my baby's birthday today. I always weep on this day by myself because you know yeah. But you know what? God is good. There's a note in my Bible that Psalm 71:20 that I wrote during a very dark time in my life. And this is what the verse says. I'll read it. I had it written out here, but it's easier to read here. Though you have made me see troubles, many and bitter, you will restore my life again. From the depths of the earth you will again bring me up. And verse 21 says, you will increase my honor and comfort me once again. That's a promise from God, right? And God is faithful. So I claimed that promise because the pain and trauma of my life was getting too heavy. Um, yeah, because there was other stuff in there too, not just that. But you know, as life goes on, there's more things piled on. And yeah, it was getting too heavy, and it was just a dark spot, and I just felt hopeless and didn't want to be here anymore. And then I found this verse, and I said, you know what, God, I claim this verse that things are going to get better. So, and God is faithful. Within a year of claiming this promise, I got a phone call. And I was reunited with my son. indescribable pain of surrendering my son was replaced with indescribable joy. I get my son back after 29 years. Such a blessing. And you know what? We have been part of each other's lives ever since. I went to his wedding. He's got two boys, my two grandkids, and yeah, it's just I love him. And we've talked about a lot of stuff, and we have this journey together, you know, because he's on the other end of that. As I was struggling with my pain, he had his own questions, about like why didn't my mom want me? And it wasn't that I didn't want him, it's just that I couldn't look after him and he deserved better. So, yeah. It's just it's overwhelming. So yeah, today's his birthday, and I just thought I would share that story with you because it's just so overwhelming. And yeah, all that pain that I had, it was overwhelming because I had to relive all that pain, explaining to him, like, telling him the story of how we got to this place. And but I finally got to talk about it to someone, and and it was him, and he understood, and he didn't hold it against me, and because he had a good life. I mean, he's a good man, and like, I'm very proud of him, even though I wasn't a part of raising him up to be that man. But I had a part, to play. So yeah, he's he's very special to me. I have other children too, and don't get me wrong, they are blessings and special to me as well. But my baby and I still call him my baby because that's what he was, my baby. We have a special journey. We have a special story that, not everyone gets to have. So God has restored my life. And he's honored me and comforted me once again, just like he promised. So I'll talk about more of this reuniting with my son in later episodes. So yeah, because now, yeah. I mean, in my mind, people say, well, how many kids do you have? And I say, we have two, it's me and my husband. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, I have three. Because, giving a child up for adoption is not something that you bring up in everyday conversation. And I did go through a lot of people looking down at me and judging me and things. And I even had someone I thought was my friend say something, and I'm not sure that she was directing it at me or just a general statement that she made. But she did say, she has no respect for women who don't keep their children. And yeah, that kind of hurt. So, yeah. So, yeah, my next child, because I got to keep him, he's just as special because I got to keep him. He has no idea how special he is. So, but anyway, until next time, I'm going to go have a little cry and a piece of cake. So, anyway, until next time, God bless.